President Trump made a surprise turn by reigniting the Obamacare debate.
We're going to be the party of great health care, and the Democrats have let you down.
The first indication came Monday when the Justice Department agreed the Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional and should be thrown out.
Obamacare doesn't work. It's too expensive. And you take a look at everything with deductibles, it's a disaster. It's a disaster for our people. We're not going to allow it to go.
And I think what the president's doing is actually wise, which is focusing Republicans' attentions, because if it does happen and Republicans aren't ready with anything, that's when they're in trouble.
Also in trouble could be the nearly 13 million people covered under Obamacare's Medicaid expansion and 52 million people with pre-existing conditions. But the president says this move does not mean Republicans want to take away people's health care, adding that the repeal and replace plan would send grants to states for them to run their own health care insurance programs. Trump's effort to repeal Obamacare narrowly failed in the Senate back in 2017. What needs to change to pass this time around?
I think people have a lot more information and have spent a lot of time thinking about what could have gone a lot better in 2017. We have a plan that would lower health care costs and improve people's choices and make sure that we take care of the most vulnerable among us, people with pre-existing conditions.
It sounds like some Republicans aren't on board, something Marie Fishpaw of the Heritage Foundation hopes will change. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy told President Trump that his new health care push makes no sense. Do you agree?
Well, I certainly think that Republicans ran for a very long time on addressing these problems, and I'd like to think that they'll be able to do so again.
Protecting and strengthening health care is why Democrats are here on day one.
Democrats made health care a prime campaign issue during the midterms and just introduced a new bill to strengthen the Affordable Care Act. It would make more middle-class people eligible for subsidies and even help lower-income recipients already in the system.
As you remember, Senator McCain ran against Obamacare. Obamacare was extremely unpopular, and it was failing. And then it's been revived because the Republicans didn't do much about it. Ben Kennedy is joining us now from the White House. And Ben, the president has taken on a fight that maybe he's getting criticized for. You've heard maybe some reasons of why they did it. Can you tell us what you've heard?
Well, Pat, we are hearing the renewed health care debate actually began in the Oval Office right here behind me in the White House on Monday. The New York Times reports that acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney persuaded President Trump to take the legal route, bring this case to the courts, arguing that since the GOP tax package ended a mandate that you were talking about, Pat, that people without coverage pay a penalty, the Affordable Care Act is no longer valid. Plus, a lawsuit to overturn the ACA will help fulfill Trump's campaign promise. Now, the Justice Department got on board and sent the request to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals to get rid of Obamacare. The legal battle is expected to reach as high as the Supreme Court.
Well, if the Fifth Circuit rules its side and the Supreme Court backs them up, what happens next? Is there a plan B? Does the president have a plan?
Yeah, Patty does. That is Plan B. If the High Court rules that the Affordable Care Act is out, then President Trump says they will have a plan that will be far better than Obamacare. Now, the commander-in-chief said Wednesday that he understands the complexity of health care now. He said people are going broke trying to pay for their health care costs, citing that rising costs of premiums is to blame. Now, many Republicans want greater transparency, more choices for consumers, which creates competition and could actually lead to lowering the cost of health care. The White House says that a new plan will be introduced in the next coming months as the Health and Human Services begins to craft it. Now, rest assured, the Trump administration says that millions of Americans that rely on Obamacare will not be without health insurance. In fact, I spoke to a White House official just moments ago. He said that pre-existing conditions will be covered. Again, you heard President Trump say the Republican Party will soon be known as the party of health care as we now wait, Pat, to see this new plan unveiled in the next few months.
Who's pushing this particular stand of the president? Was that Mick Mulvaney or somebody else?
Yeah, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney was in the president's ear during what is considered a policy meeting on Monday. Said, hey, look, we need to get on top of this because, as you were mentioning earlier in the show, that health care will definitely be a big topic in the 2020 campaign. And President Trump, the White House, they really want to get ahead of this on the campaign trail over the next year or so.
Ben, Keep us informed. It's an important issue.